Hey there, beer hunters and wedge bankers. Welcome back to another episode of the Beer Huntress. I hope you're all exceptionally well. You should all know the crack by now. We're going to spin the wheel. It's going to pick a style for us. We're going to pick a beer from there, and then we're going to review the tasting notes. So without further ado, shall we check out what we're going to be drinking today? Here we go. Oh, perfect. Well, as you all know, this is my personal favourite style, and we've landed on Imperial, so I get to have something nice and high ABV, really dark and really luscious. So let's do it. Okay, so we got Imperial, and I decided I wanted to go for something really super sweet today. So I've gone for Amundsen, and this is their 4-bean Imperial pastry stout called Cool Beans, which is an 11.5%. Now, they state that this has got coffee beans, vanilla beans, and cacao beans in it, which, if you're like me, the maths doesn't work there. There's only 3 beans there, so I don't know what the 4th bean is yet. With a little bit of a history and knowledge of the Imperial Stouts, I'm kind of hoping it's going to be Tonka. So we'll wait and see when I actually open it. But yeah, I'm eager to see what that 4th bean's going to be. However, I have seen one brewery, particularly Totally Brewed, did a 6-bean stout, and one of the beans that they put in there was jelly beans. So you never know, it could be something as wild and wacky as that. I don't remember actually being able to taste jelly beans in that particular beer, but hey, here we go. So Amundsen Brewery is an Oslo-based brewery which is focused 100% on craft beers for non-conformists. Now, understanding a little bit of the history of Amundsen, you have to kind of look back at some of Norwegian history as well. I don't know this for certain, but I would like to believe that the reason they called themselves Amundsen was in reference to one of the most notable historical people from Norway. Roald Engelbrekt Granving Amundsen, who was born in July 1872 and died in the June of 1928, was a Norwegian explorer of the polar regions. He had quite a reputation within the world of exploration and gained himself notable popularity amongst the Norwegian people. I don't know for certain that that's the reason that Amundsen chose this for their brewery name, but there's a little bit of me that likes to believe that it's because of this heritage that they chose it. Their motto is created by craftsmen, and as Oslo's largest brewery and Norway's fastest growing brewery, they've now started to develop their beers into Europe and obviously over to the UK, hence the reason why I can enjoy this today. And they have definitely made an impact in what I would call the adjunct craft world. So I'm going to crack this bad boy open before we explore a little bit more about the history of the brewery and how their adjuncts have made such an impression. So looking at this absolutely beautiful artwork, I mean, Amundsen is absolutely brilliant at this. We've got this kind of tri-dimensional look to it, this stunning kind of view of just all these different aspects of all these beans involved. It's very tribal, it's very very unique, very colourful. So there we have it. Wow. Poured absolutely beautifully thick. Stunning off tan head, very, very kind of dark head to it. You know, really gorgeous. It's lacing beautifully around the outside of the glass. Can't see anything through it, which is always a good sign for an Imperial. But yeah, looking just stunning, looking beautiful. Should I have a taste, or should I tell you a bit more about the brewery? No, I tell you what, I'm going to smell it first. Let's go for that, shall we? Oh, wow. That is complex. I can smell the coffee. Coffee grinds, definitely. And that just hint of vanilla. The cacao is very strong, very, very intense. It's complementing that kind of coffee note really, really well. Can I identify that fourth bean? Oh, so want it to be tonka, but I don't know if I can smell that, to be honest with you. There's definitely an awful lot of kind of really, really harsh, bitter, strong coffee notes there. Very, very intense coffee flavours. Now I'm going to save the sip just for a moment. So the brewery itself started out in 2011, and they were just as a small 5 hectolitre brew pub kit when they first began. In 2013, they built up their first production unit and opened a 20 hectolitre brewery. Since then, they've actually increased to a 42 hectolitre size, which is quite considerable. And they opened that in the 2016, and they are still there now. Now, Amundsen is exceptionally well known for its adjunct heavy beers. So the biggest brand that they're known for is their dessert in a can, which is a 10.5% range, and my gosh, is it a range. They have everything from their chocolate mud cake, they've got a Mama's blueberry pie, they've got marshmallow and passion fruit cheesecake, gingerbread creme brulee, pecan and maple imperial stout, marzipan and chocolate shortbread, chocolate chip salted caramel imperial. The list goes on and on and on and on. And they've got a massive reputation over in the UK for these beers, and everybody seems to absolutely love them. And this is no exception to the rule. This is a part of their Imperial Pastry Stout range. What is a pastry stout? Well, initially it was used as a pejorative or a very kind of a negative way of referring to very sickly, sweet, adjunct, latent beers. Really kind of, very heavy on the kind of milkiness or sweetness or over the top kind of lactose kind of flavours. However, the pastry stout has now been very welcomed into the craft beer community and has been universally adopted by an awful lot of breweries, especially this one. It generally refers to a stout which is usually made with the addition of very sugary ingredients. The idea behind it and the goal is to mimic flavours of very intense desserts, and that's what they want to do with something like this. It even is supposed to mimic the appearance of a dessert. Now, obviously looking at a beer like this, it makes me think, well, how many black desserts have I ever seen? But I can kind of see what they mean in kind of like sticky toffee puddings and all that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely trying to mimic the flavours of it, certainly. These kind of beers are as far away from the Reinheitsgebot as you can possibly get. I saw a meme not so long ago which referenced the Evergreen cargo ship being stuck in the Suez Canal, and it actually has the little digger as being the Reinheitsgebot, and then the cargo ship being the Imperial pastry stouts with blueberries, maples, etc., all in it. It's got that tobacco-y thing going on, which, yeah, it definitely kind of makes me think that that's definitely going to be tonka beans in there. And I seem to be obsessing about that word, but yeah, that balance of that coffee there as well. I'm just trying to identify somewhere, anywhere that someone's going to tell me what that fourth bean is. You can't call something a 4-bean stout and then not tell me what the 4 beans are. So the minute that I tasted it, I went, please God. But yeah, it's got that kind of tobacco kind of flavour to it, that licoricey Pontefract kind of thing going on there. That's quite intense. Cacao itself, cacao beans are very, very strong, kind of intense coffee kind of in flavours to it, very bitter. They give you that kind of scraping the bottom of a filter coffee pot kind of flavour to it. I'm not selling that to you in the way that I'm describing it, but trust me, that's just how it tastes, and it's really quite enjoyable. It's if you enjoy a really nice, bitter, strong espresso, you're going to get that from your cacao as well. Mixed in with that kind of a glorious kind of dark, very, very dark cocoa kind of thing going on as well. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Wow. The wonderful thing about pastry stouts and about imperial stouts in general, they don't taste the ABV. They just taste like dessert in a glass, dessert in a can, to coin the phrase. Now, there's an awful lot of argument about what adjuncts should be found in a pastry stout. And this has caused an awful lot of kind of disagreement in the world as what you should class as a pastry stout. If you put chocolate and cinnamon in there, does that class it as a pastry stout? Because that's technically going down the route of a dessert. If you add lactose in there, does it have to have lactose? Can it be lacking in lactose? You know, there's a lot of brewers that will argue about what's classed as a pastry stout. There's an awful lot of artistic license, let's say that. But it certainly depends upon who you ask. And, well, it is kind of craft. So my say is, do what you want, call it what you want, and the beer drinkers will judge it for you. Well, guys, if you've had this, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. As always, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed drinking this beer. Check out some of the other videos on our channel, and I shall see you next time for another episode of the Beer Huntress. Keep wad banking, and cheers. If you enjoyed this video, guys, then please like, subscribe and share it with your friends. Hit that notifications button to get alerts when our new video is out. We're also on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram, so check out the links in the description and follow us on there as well. If there's anything you'd like to see us review, please pop it in the comments and we'll pop it in the pump for later. Keep wad banking, and I shall see you all next time for another episode of The Beer Huntress.